International Day was launched in recognition of Nelson Mandela's birthday. Now, the day was inspired by a call from Mandela for the next generation to take on the burden of leadership in addressing the world's social injustices. Today is more than just a celebration of the great icon's life. It's a chance for action and to turn around the world, to make people's lives better in any way possible. Joining us now in studio is Verne, Director of Dialogue at the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Verne, a very good morning to you and welcome.
Morning, thank you.
Now, you hosted the Nelson Mandela Lecture Series last night. Bill Gates was the key speaker there. How did it go, first and foremostly?
Well, it was very well attended and we've had good feedback. I think the message coming from Bill Gates is an important one.
What were some of the most important messages that came out of the lecture?
Well, for me, he was saying that the African continent can realize the future of its dreams, but it's going to take all of us and global players to do differently. We can't do more of the same. And particularly, he was saying our biggest asset is our youth, and we have to find ways of harnessing their energy.
Now, I must tell you, I was very impressed with the visuals that I saw coming out of that conference. It was packed to the brim with people from all over the place. Was it all invited guests?
Yeah, although we opened up the space far more than in the past to the local community, so a lot of Mamelodi families were there, particularly families of people who lost their lives during the struggle.
Why would people be so interested to listen to Bill Gates, for that matter?
Well, I think it reflects the hunger here in South Africa amongst our communities for solutions. And there's that hope that we will hear that silver bullet solution coming.
Tell us a little bit more about your organization and the work that you've been doing all year round until this point when you host the Nelson Mandela Day.
Yeah, thank you. Madiba gave us a mandate to promote his legacy by trying to change the world and to realize specifically the South Africa of his dreams. So we have a whole range of programs and projects designed to promote that end.
Have we as a nation succeeded in living up to his legacy? That's a question that we pose to our viewers. What do you think?
No, I think we've disappointed him. Certainly that's what I saw in the last few years of his life. And I think we've got a lot of work to do.
How did we disappoint him?
Well, I think he felt, certainly in the first decade of this century, that we would have moved further towards that dream that he had. Of a truly liberatory South Africa where the fruits of freedom are enjoyed by most South Africans. We're still far from that. And I think it's about the mistakes we made and mistakes that were made under his leadership. I think we have to acknowledge that and start rectifying them.
When we talk about his legacy, one of his key points that he always mentioned was that he foresee a rainbow nation. He aspire, and we should aspire South Africans to that. Are we very far from that ideal?
I think we are, but I think that in retrospect that ideal was misguided. Is that I think a lot of work needed to be done which we've kind of put on ice. And what we've seen in the last 18 months, I think, and it's a welcome intervention, especially by young South Africans, is to say, look, you can't sweep things under the carpet. You've got to name these things, face these things, and do the really tough, dirty work in order to find solutions.
67 minutes, that's what you also ask from us and the world to spend today and really provide that 60 minutes and do something good to the public. Has that message already penetrated the South African psyche?
I don't think so. I think that a lot of the work that gets done around Mandela Day, a lot of the projects are about feel-good interventions and not about sustainable commitments. So we've got a lot of work to do with the messaging.
And when you talk about sustainable, what would you see then as sustainable things that people should do in order to keep his legacy alive?
Well, you know, in Madiba's thinking, when the Mandela Day was launched, there was this notion of building cultures of service.
Yes.
Is that if we are going to find sustainable solutions, we're going to need large numbers of people who are willing to give up their time, their skills, their energy, and so on. So it's about building the cultures, I think. But underlying it all is to say, when you look around you and you see the needs, it's saying this is not a well-functioning democracy. So whatever you're doing as an individual, as a family, as a community, we need to all be committing to changing those basic structures.
As the Nelson Mandela Foundation, what are you doing today for his 67 minutes that he asked from us?
Well, the staff is out at a school on the East Rand. We've been working with the school for some time now. Mrs. Michelle is with the team.
The municipal elections is around the corner. What do you think should political leaders of all political parties in South Africa keep in mind and bear in mind if they want to continue the work that Madiba has done and of the former leader that he actually stood for?
Yeah, it's a very good question. For me, I think it's about a commitment to sustainable solutions, not quick fix options, and not to go for that kind of messaging with people to get votes, which you then can't deliver on.
Do you think that this particular day, Nelson Mandela Day, should be a public holiday, that people can give actually more than just 67 minutes?
No, I don't. Actually, I think we have too many public holidays, and I think the whole message of Mandela Day is to weave into your daily life a way of giving back to communities and working hard to find solutions.
And then finally, just your message to South Africans and the world today, Verne.
I think for me, the message of Madiba's legacy has to be, don't give up, keep working hard.
Verne, thank you so much for joining us, and all the best of luck for today, of 67 minutes giving back to Madiba. That was Verne Harris from the Nelson Mandela Foundation. The question that we pose to you is, of course, on your screen right now, and we're asking you that very important question: are we living up to his legacy? That is Madiba's legacy. What are you doing, by the way, for your 67 minutes today? Well, to continue that discussion, let's go over to Eben.